good afternoon. Last one before the break, so it's probably appropriate that I'm going to spend the next 7 minutes talking to you about toilets, which is a really simple topic, which is why I think it's such an effective fundraising idea. I've got to follow New York as an act, so if clicker works, where better to start than Birmingham? Splendid city, you'll agree, and well known for its fundraising innovation as well. It was about 4 years ago I was there. I was at a meeting at the Friends Meeting House. It was a CFDG meeting talking about gift aid. I remember it well. I get to do all the exciting stuff. And before I went into the meeting, I stopped to use the facilities. And there, in front of me, as I was using those facilities, there's a lovely little framed picture telling me that the toilet I was using had been twinned with one in Burundi. It had a picture of the exact toilet. And if I was a bit cynical about, is this really the toilet that it was twinned with, it even had the grid reference and the coordinates. So I could go home and look it up. So I did believe it was true. I was really taken with this idea, and I was forced to look at it for 20 seconds or so. I didn't time it. But you get the picture. Like in the motorway service stations, you've got nothing else to look at for that duration. So placement is an excellent factor. So I went and I listened to gift aid. But my first thought as I went back to the office the next day was, I like this, I want one of these, or in our case, I want 4 of these for our office. So first thing, I went on the internet, found the toilet twinning website, I told a colleague. They just looked at me like I was a little bit weird, but they thought, well, I know better than to argue, so yeah, okay, let's go with it. And 2 minutes later, we were £240 lighter, and all 4 toilets in the office were twinned. It's excellent, it's very simple. So I'd seen the idea, twin the toilets. I thought when I was asked to speak today, that was all I needed to say, but then I realised I needed to look into it a little bit more and understand why it was such a good idea. First of all, I never realised quite how fundamental a toilet was to move out of poverty. I hadn't appreciated that 1 in 3 people in the world don't have access to a toilet. I never appreciated that without proper sanitation, people get too ill to go to work, they get too ill to go to school, so they can't get trapped. They can't get out of the trap of poverty. And I was also shocked to discover that it shouldn't be so obvious that women and girls are particularly vulnerable if they don't have a toilet because they can get bitten by snakes. They're vulnerable to sexual assault when they have to go to the toilet in the open. So it's such a simple idea, so many fundamental things it can change about somebody's life. I also wanted to make sure I gave credit where it was due and find out where the idea had come from. So I spoke to Lorraine Kingsley, who's the chief executive of Toilet Twinning, and she explained a couple of years before my fateful trip to that toilet in the Friends Meeting House that the idea actually hadn't come from anyone that worked for a charity at all. It came from the wife of Mark Atherton on the left, and she, for his Christmas present, had bought him a toilet from the Cord, the charity he worked at, from Cord's alternative gift catalogue. Placed a picture of it on the toilet at home and wrote, "I've twinned your loo, happy Christmas." So it's her idea. But Mark took the idea, he spoke to his colleague Nick, they spent a week having lunch, and then they presented it to the head of communications there, Richard Dixon. He loved it, and the concept was launched. So the original idea was to twin just 500 toilets, and they were going to use that to invest in Cord's program in Burundi. That target was hit after just 3 months. And they quickly realised that they needed to find a partner with global reach to see it to its full potential. And that's where they got working with Tier Fund, and Toilet Twinning was created as a brand. So clearly it's a fantastic cause, very worth giving money to. What I liked about it today is it strikes me as this is something that any charity can get its hands on the ideas of. You don't need massive reach, you don't need massive scale or a massive name. There's 5 reasons why this is an excellent idea. First of all, it's so simple. I instantly understand what it's about. The name tells me what it's about. It's about toilets, and I can see it's about the developing world. So there's no need to do messaging behind it. There's no need to explain what it's all about. It's humorous, and so it engages me. So as a passerby, as a man in the street, knowing nothing about the cause or about the charities, I'm engaged. It's got my attention. Second thing, I can really relate to it. Rightly or wrongly in the UK or a country like the UK, words like poverty or health or education kind of wash over us a little bit. They make us feel guilty about our wealth compared to other countries, but they don't really hammer home. They don't actually connect with how that money is going to be spent. In this case, I can see this is about toilets, so I've got a proper connection to the cause. So you've got my interest, and I understand exactly where the money's going to, and that's all been achieved in the name. The third one, the idea endures. There's lots of fantastic fundraising ideas out there, but once I've read the email, once I've made my donation, run the race, worn the t-shirt, taken the photograph, there's nothing left. Maybe I've got the memories, and as a donor, that's enough for me. But with this, I went to that toilet in Birmingham. I don't know when Friends Meeting House had sponsored the toilet, had twinned the toilet, but it was there for everybody to see. I loved the idea, and I copied it. And I love it when charities get this bit right, because not only does the donor want to give money to the charity, they then take the idea away and they share that with the rest of the world. So they're now doing the charity's work for them. It's ingenious. It's so simple. So you pay the money and then you go and advertise the idea and it propagates. You don't point the clicker at the screen. I've just worked that out. It's only about my 12th slide. Ignore, I don't work for a technology company. That's a lie. The fourth reason this is great is the price and the product that you're selling. Entry-level fundraising ask of £60. That's possibly a bit high if you're normally trying to tempt a donor, £5, £10, £50. £60 high. The price is actually based on the true cost of building a toilet, depending on which country. It's between £10 and £200, but that's not really the point. £60 is a figure I can relate to. It's certainly cheaper than going to B&Q, and if I did that, I'd still have to go and fit it myself. But what's more, I get something tangible for it. I mentioned the framed picture that I saw when I was going to the toilet. And as the donor, I'm getting something back and something tangible that reinforces the value of my gift. And this also really works well in a corporate context. Companies, to be honest, companies are very lazy about wanting to tick the philanthropic box. So if we can give some money, get a certificate and go and put it up on the wall, brilliant. So £60 is a good price. It may be a high price compared to a lot of fundraising asks, but it's a good price because there's a good product at the end of it. So you don't need to be shy about what you're asking for. And the fifth reason is the execution of the idea. After twinning the toilet, I'm sent a photograph of the toilet. It's not generic, which I like. It gives me something to talk about when people see it. It's got the grid reference. I mentioned that already. I like maps. But the best bit of all is the frame. It's a really simple thing, but the frame is the key to the whole idea for me. Because I don't receive through the envelope, it's a nice little A5 certificate that I don't really know what to do with, that I haven't got a frame to put it up. It gets creased and I leave it on the side and it gets piled, especially in an office context. It's come in the frame, so there's absolutely no obstacle for me taking that and putting it straight up on the wall. And that's what makes it, in my mind, the perfect fundraising product. Because you start off thinking about the cause. It's so simple to get the message around the cause out to the audience. You get the money, but then you're thinking about acquiring the next donor. So I'm going to let you go to the toilet in a minute. My brief was to talk about something that was not my own fundraising idea. That's quite easy. I don't do fundraising ideas. And in fact, the few ideas I've ever suggested to charities I've worked with, they've turned around and said, don't give up your day job. So I'm definitely not going to suggest to Toilet Twinning that they should send a photograph of me out to some family on the other side of the world to put up on their toilet, because apparently that would not be a very good idea. But I do know a good idea when I see one, and I wish I'd thought of that.